Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nur Aisyah binti Jamil. My matric number is 1210039. Introduction: freedom of expression from the Islamic communication perspective compared to Western media is: freedom of expression is a basic right that allows individuals to express thoughts, opinions, and ideas without fear of censorship or punishment. However, understanding and interpretation of freedom of expression vary across different cultural and religious contexts, such as the perspective of Islamic communication and Western media. From the perspective of Islamic communication, freedom of expression is a valuable principle, but it is also subject to certain restrictions and responsibilities. Islamic teachings stress the importance of using speech and expression in a responsible and ethical manner. The Quran promotes the idea of speaking the truth, avoiding slander and blackbiting, and promoting justice and harmony in society. Muslim scholars and jurists often emphasize the moral dimensions of freedom of expression, such as the prohibition on spreading falsehood, promoting hatred, or insulting others. Next, freedom of expression, Islamic media versus Western media in cultures. In summary, while both Islamic communication and Western media value freedom of expression, they operate within different cultural and religious frameworks. Islamic communication places importance on responsible expression with the bounds of Islamic principle, emphasizing communal welfare and social cohesion, while Western media, in contrast, tends to prioritize individual freedom of expression and encourage the exchange of diverse ideas. Understanding and navigating these differences can contribute to fostering respectful dialogue and mutual understanding between cultures. Marisa's question to other people is: each individual has a unique understanding and interpretation of religious teaching and cultural values. So it is important for us to remember that views on freedom of expression in Islam and Western media can vary between individuals and societies. Based on my pie chart research, majority people agreed with my statement.
My name is Nur Hafizah binti Ahmad Zafar and my matric number is 1210064. Next, I will talk about traditions. Tradition in Islam. Tradition in Islam is to emulate the Prophet Muhammad SAW when communicating well and friendly. He taught us to make a good impression, smile, greetings, and shake hands as a tradition to start a conversation. Islam also teaches us not to distinguish between Muslim and non-Muslim social traditions because everyone deserves good treatment, and not to be rude because it will have a negative impact on Islam. Next, I will talk about Western media. Western media has a lot of negative impact on others, especially Muslims. For example, many Western media highlight unpleasant things such as communication that leads to violence and use bad language such as cursing and insulting, and cannot be an example to others. This has become a tradition of the community there, which is really against the Islamic community. Next, we go to short pie. The question is, do you agree about some arguments from the Western media that unrestricted freedom of expression can pose a threat to social stability? Based on the result, 57.9% responded agree, while 42.1% responded disagree.
My name is Noraisha binti Abdul Muid. My matric number 1210049. Government policies on freedom of expression can significantly differ between Islamic and Western contexts. Islam countries may have stricter regulation and government control over media content with the aim of preserving religious and cultural values and maintaining social stability. Western countries generally adopt a more hands-off approach, with governments typically refraining from direct interference in media content while promoting self-regulation and adherence to legal frameworks. In the context of the first Islamic government is the sovereignty of Allah, where in Islam the concept of full sovereignty is in the hands of Allah SWT. The government or government is considered to be the representative of God who is responsible for apply His law on earth. In this framework, freedom of speech in Islam can be limited or regulate according to the considered religious principles reflect God's will. Next is Sharia as a source of law. Islamic government is usually based on the principle of Sharia principles Islamic law as the main source of law and regulations. Freedom speaking in this context can be given with the limitations and parameters that have been determined by Sharia, especially in matters related to religion, morality, and public safety. In addition, the government authority, the Islamic government has the authority to make policies and regulations in accordance with Islamic principles. Last but not least is the preservation of harmony and public interest. In Islamic government, freedom speaking out can be direct to achieve goals that are considered important for community and country life. The purpose includes the maintenance of harmony, social justice, general well-being, and national sustainability. According to the West, the first democracy, many Western countries adhere to a democratic system of government where political power is in the hands of the people. Freedom of speech is the cornerstone important in this system, with the principle that every individual has the right to voicing opinions, presenting ideas, and participating in recruitment political decision. Besides, that is freedom of expression. Freedom of speech in the West often includes freedom, broader expression, which includes the right to speak, right communicate opinion, and access information, exceeded fear of expression or discretion for government. Next, legal protection. Western countries usually have a legal framework that protect freedom of speech. Constitution or national law often contain articles that guarantee the right to freedom of expression and prohibiting action repressive by the government against individuals or groups who voice their opinion then. Finally, pluralism and open discussion, where freedom of speech in the West also include acknowledgement or pluralism and diversity of opinion. Mass media, online platform, and public institutions often provide rank for open debate, exchange opinions, and discussion involving various views, even if content that is controversial or against the government. Next, we move to the research pie chart of the freedom of expression from the Islamic communication perspective compared to Western media in government policies. The question that we have been investigating in this research is it appropriate for the government to put conditions on using social media in this day and age from the perspective of Islam or Western media? So, we can see in this pie chart that many agree that the government should put conditions in using social media nowadays, which is the number who agree is 84.2%, while the number who disagree is 15.8%. This is because in order to avoid the issue of social media among today's society, especially among children and teenagers, because nowadays social media has become more widespread and contains various more modern applications. So it is of great concern to the community to allow children to use social media because they are worried that they will misuse it is as playing games online excessively and neglecting their studies. Then worry if they watch stories or videos that are not useful and can poison the minds of today's young people. So that many more community agree with this question because it can prevent bad things from happening, and the government also has to play an important role.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nakairina Safi binti Kayunizal. My metric number is 1210083. Next, the freedom of expression Islamic media versus Western media in values. In summary, while both Islamic media and Western media values freedom of expression is respect for religious belief, Islam-related religious belief in particular are highly valued in Islamic civilizations, and they are also protected and upheld. The right to free speech is respected, but it must also be used responsibly and with respect for religious figures and belief holiness and honor. While in Western media, open exchange of ideas like free sharing of thoughts, opinion, and information is highly valued in Western communication. It encourages spirited discussion and a marketplace of opposing perspectives. My research question to other people is, in the context of comparison with Western media, there are differences in values and approach in understanding freedom of expressions. Western media often emphasize the freedom of individuals to express their opinion without hindrance compared to Islamic media, which is not considered to absolute right. Based on my pie chart, 84.2% agree and 15.8% disagree with my statement.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nadia Amani Afzal binti Mazlan. My metric number 1213165. Okay, next is about belief. As we know, belief regarding freedom of expression can vary depending on cultural, religious, and ideology backgrounds. Okay, now let we know about two different perspectives, which is Western belief and Islamic belief. In Western societies, freedom of expression is often seen as a fundamental human right and a cornerstone of democracy. There is a strong belief in the value of open debate, the marketplace of ideas, and the ability to express one's opinions of belief without censorship or fear of retribution. However, even within Western societies, there can be debates about the limits and responsibilities associated within freedom of expression, balancing the right to express oneself with concerns such as hate speech, incitement to violence, or the spread of misinformation is a complex and ongoing discussion. Okay, next is Islamic belief. Within the Islamic faith, there is a recognition of the importance of freedom of expressions, but it is often understood within the context of Islamic teaching, values, and societal norms. While Islam encourages critical thinking and intellectual discourse, there is also an emphasis on preserving social harmony, protecting religious belief and symbols, and avoiding action that could undermine the unity or integrity of the community. In this context, some Islamic societies may place certain restrictions on freedom of expression to safeguard religious sensitivities and uphold moral and ethical standards. It is important to note that belief around freedom of expression can differ significantly among individuals, communities, and countries, even within the same culture or religious framework. Moreover, interpretation of religious texts and teachings can vary, leading to the diverse perspective on the boundaries and application of freedom of expressions. Okay, that's my research pie chart. My simple question is, as a Muslim, freedom of speech on social media is very thin compared to Western media. As a wise user, do you give full trust to the information that delivered on social media nowadays? Okay, my pie chart shows that 31.6 were agree about that and 68.4 were disagree about that.
Next, they also have advantages and disadvantages.
For advantages, encouragement of responsible speech. Islamic principles emphasize the importance of using speech responsibly and promoting truth, justice, and ethical conduct. Freedom of expression can allow individuals to voice constructive criticism, promote social justice, and advocate for positive change within the boundary of Islamic values. And for disadvantages, which is potential for blasphemy or disrespect, some Islamic scholars and practitioners may view freedom of expression as potential leading to spread of blasphemous or disrespectful content that insult religious figures, beliefs, or symbols. This can be seen as violation of Islamic principle or reverence and respect.
Okay, overall about this topic, we can conclude that the Islamic communication perspective emphasizes responsible speech and ethical communications, while Western media generally prioritizes the right to unrestricted expression within legal limits. Both perspectives aim to balance individual freedoms with societal considerations. That's all from us. Thank you.